Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunday edition of The Locker Room with myself, Graham Duthie. We're going to be looking back at all the Cinch Premiership action from yesterday. We'll also review the Dundee United Celtic game. Wow. And we will also keep an eye on Hearts against St Johnstone, and I will try and keep an eye as well on the SWPL games that have started earlier on. And it's Sunday, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by my Robin to my Batman. It's David Smith. David, how are you?
Very well, thanks, Graham. Better than a Sunday roast.
I'm actually hungry, I've just mentioned that. So, as I say, we will get on to the games very, very shortly, but let's just look at Hearts against St Johnstone, which is just about to kick off at Tynecastle. We'll look at the team news first. Hearts have made 6 changes from the game on Thursday. So Hearts line up apparently it's a 3-4-3. We've got Craig Gordon in goal, Michael Smith, Lewis Nielsen makes his first start, and Kai Rowles. In the centre midfield, it's Peter Haring and Cammy Devlin. On the flanks, it's Nathaniel Atkinson and Andy Halliday. And on the front three, it's Josh Ginnelly, Gary Mackay-Steven and Liam Boyce. For St Johnstone, they're also going 3-4-3, and it's Matthews in goals, Ryan McGowan, the ex-Jambo, at the back, along with Alec Mitchell, Andy Considine. They've got Melchior Harburg and Phillips in the centre. Then they've got Wright and Brown out wide, with Graham Carey, Stevie May and Jamie Murphy up top. So we'll touch on the Dundee United Celtic game very shortly, but just keep on this game just now, Dave. Now, obviously, Hearts disappointing on Thursday night. They played really well first half, but they know they've got the backup plan of the Conference League against Istanbul, Başakşehir, Fiorentina and RFS. How important is it for Hearts to get a win today and try and cement that third place in the league?
I think it's important to get back to winning ways, and that are a few reasons. First and foremost, yes, as you rightly alluded to recover from Thursday night's unfortunate exploits in the hands of FC Zurich, because it was a disappointing outcome, especially how Hearts played over 55 to 60 minutes. But also at the same time as well, Graham, it's an opportunity to bounce back, considering they beat Celtic Park last Sunday. Now, Hearts' season to an extent wasn't going to be defined on last Sunday at Celtic, but it was still a disappointing one to take, and Hearts still have European ambitions, and the league is the bread and butter for Hearts, and they don't want to be looking at campaigns this season. We've got regrets here, we've got regrets there, because it won't be a good look. And you see with Dundee United, which we'll get onto later on, how teams could capitulate if teams aren't organised and diligent across the park. And Johnston's a great opportunity for Hearts to return back to winning ways. I mean, St Johnstone have been effective, they have been dogged, they have picked up results here and there, but I still think Hearts have enough quality to see over the line against St Johnstone. But you know who to blame, Graham, if that doesn't work come 5:15 this afternoon.
Oh, don't worry, I know full well. The Twitter outrage will be mental. But in terms of the changes the Hearts have made, they have made 6, as I said. Probably the big two for me are Lawrence Shankland and Barry Mackay. Are you surprised that Robin Nielsen's made as many changes as that?
Is Shankland and Mackay injured, or?
They're on the bench.
Okay, no reason. Right, okay. I thought it was maybe like an injury or whatever. To be honest, I mean, Shankland and Mackay have obviously done very, very well, but also at the same time, I think Robbie's perhaps got Premier Sports Cup in mind on Wednesday, something which Hearts should be striving to go and win, of course, but at the same time as well, I would argue that today is a much bigger game than Wednesday. I mean, Wednesday will take care of itself, but I would argue today is a much bigger game, and for me, if I was Robbie, I'd be starting with an authority. But you understand as yourself, Graham, Liam Boyce hasn't been playing with a degree of confidence now. It's maybe the ideal game to get Liam Boyce back into the team, to try and get a few goals, trying to get his confidence back and try and get him some breathing space, because he has went off the boils. We've touched upon it Friday's show, and we've touched upon it a few times now. But at the same time as well, momentum's a big thing in football. And Barry Mackay is arguably the best player outside the Glasgow 2 just now. And Lawrence Shankland has been scoring goals for fun domestically. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, Hearts did earlier on make a signing. I'm probably going to get this totally wrong, but Hearts have signed the German midfielder Orestes Kiyomortsoglu from Dutch side Heracles Almelo, subject to international clearance and visa approval. Now, that for me could be a good signing. Hearts are paying around 350,000 for him. The biggest amount Hearts have ever paid was in 2006 for Mirsad Baslija, worth 850,000. So hopefully he will add a bit more steel in that midfield for Hearts.
Well, it's changed this from Romanov, isn't it? I mean, that £850,000 would have been all right back in 2006, considering how much money was getting pumped into Hearts and how calamitous Hearts were becoming, not on the park, but off the park, just by how things deteriorated there. But Hearts have moved on from that, and Hearts are a lot more stable. I mean, they've got obviously the foundation of Hearts. They're a lot more backing financially, and they're a lot more stable than they were back in 2006. So for me, that's a big sign for Hearts, and they can obviously go and attract these players. Obviously, Shankland didn't cover free either, so it shows the level of players that they're bringing in, but also the authority to go back. Robbie Nielsen is a strong one, and that's all thanks to the work that Joe Savage has put in, because Joe's been absolutely great for Hearts and backed Robbie Nielsen to the tilt.
100%. So we'll get back to Hearts against St Johnstone later. I'll just give you some of the scores from the SWPL. The games that are finished were Glasgow City Women 2, Aberdeen 1, and Spartans 0, Partick Thistle 0. The latest scores, Hamilton 0, Rangers 3, and Hearts have just scored against Glasgow Women, so it's Hearts 1, Glasgow Women 0. 2 games at 4 o'clock are Dundee United against Hibs and Motherwell against Celtic. And let's touch on Celtic, who at lunchtime today, and yes, if you see the score at the bottom of the screen there in the flash, in the rolling thing there, Dundee United 0, Celtic 9. Yes, you have heard that right. It's not a ticker tape, but it is 9-0 to Celtic. We'll get on to United very shortly, but Dave, what a magnificent result and performance from Celtic today. A hat-trick from Kyogo, a hat-trick from Abada, and one each for Jota, Juranovic, and Starfelt.
We've all made the point on this show, on Scottish football shows, on other shows, and other podcasts, as have other pundits, journalists, broadcasters. We've all made the point that Celtic and Rangers are far superior to the rest of Scottish football at this precise moment in time. On a range of permutations, financial, resources, a whole host of things. But you could tell today was going to be one of those days after, I'd say, Celtic went 3-0 up, just because of the ability and the fact that they got forward. But I must say as well, it became demoralising. I've got no sympathy for Dundee United, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you, because some of the goals, I don't know if you agree with me, but some of the goals Dundee United conceded were Sunday league stuff. I mean, they were playing a very, very good Celtic side, and a Celtic side who were relentless on the front foot, eager to expose at every opportunity, and the best way of playing attacking football, and that has to be acknowledged. But at the same time, I made a point on Twitter about Ryan Edwards, and I thought it was Sunday league stuff. I didn't think Ryan Edwards alone was Sunday league material. I just felt Dundee United defensively was of a Sunday league standard, because when you look back to last season, Graham, Ryan Edwards and Charlie Mulgrew earned a lot of kudos and praise for the way they dominated both boxes. What was it? Well, not St Johnstone, by the way, before I continue.
I hope not. It's not saying anything, but it might well be. I don't know. I haven't seen anything.
It's just something. We'll get back into you on that one. It's just something came up on my phone via the text message. Anyway, Ryan Edwards and Charlie Mulgrew were renowned for being dominant in both boxes in their time courts, and they played a strong part of their time, just in terms of the way they played, and they obviously helped Tam get European football. I think Tam Courts left Dundee United at the right time. Now thinking about that, I was speaking to somebody about that a couple of hours ago when the goals were raining in, and let's be honest, it's a lovely day in the Grant City here in Aberdeen. It's probably a lovely day in the lovely Dalkeith of Edinburgh, but it was definitely raining goals in the city of Discovery, which was arguably Scotland's sunniest city, I may add. But yeah, there was definitely a wee dampener on Dundee United's day, and disappointment is an understatement. I'd say atrocious is the word to cover how poor and pitiful Dundee United were this afternoon. But then at the same time as well, Celtic showed their quality. Kyogo with a hat-trick in the first half. I made Juranovic, no, Giacomakis, beg your pardon, why am I thinking Juranovic? God, I have a word with myself. It's Sunday. Giacomakis, beg your pardon, had a hat-trick. And then obviously the goals kept raining in. And it could very easily have been 10. It wasn't, but very easily could have been 10. And for Celtic, it's job well done. For them, it's up to Ross County on Wednesday. And what I will say is I think it makes, by the way, it is 1-0 St Johnstone.
Yeah, I've just seen that.
Graham Carey has just scored for St Johnstone. I'll just finish off by saying that it's a big game for Dundee United at Lindstrom on Wednesday night.
Yeah, talking about dampening my day, and that goal's just dampened my spirits now. So hopefully Hearts can come back from that. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, United actually started digging well. There's a chance that Joe Hart made a good save from, and then after that, Celtic just took over. And I've got to be honest, I mean, Kyogo, his finishing, his awareness, his movement, it's just unbelievable to watch.
When you look at Jota, Kyogo, Matt O'Reilly, Giacomakis to an extent, who else? When you look at not Abada perhaps as well, they're all players that are far too good for Scottish football, I think. They're all players that can easily play for, I'll give you examples here, a Southampton, a Leicester, a Crystal Palace, a West Ham type of club in England. They're reigning with goals here in Scotland. They're a class above the rest in Scotland. They're up against defenders who have been playing at the very best. League One Championship football in England, maybe, apart from Charlie Mulgrew. Charlie Mulgrew's obviously played at the highest level in football possible. But yeah, it was a disappointing afternoon all round for Dundee United, but Celtic showed their class. They were absolutely terrific at Kilmarnock a fortnight ago. They've swamped teams at home comfortably. Today against Dundee United, we were expecting Celtic to win the game comfortably, yes, but 9-0, nah, brushes the water with me. And the after eight biscuit, the after eight chocolate sweeties, sorry to make you hungry, Graham, but the after eight chocolate sweeties are very much out in Glasgow tonight.
My stomach's really rumbling now. I'm really hungry now. You've mentioned that chocolate as well. But that first half especially, Celtic, some of the football they played was unbelievable. The second goal from Kyogo is a great finish. I think if you're Postecoglou, it must please you. How many times do you see a team go 4-0 up in the first half and second half they switch off? Celtic were relentless.
I seen a point in the game, Graham, where Celtic were, I think it was on the stroke of half time actually. I think they were 4-0 up. And Greg Taylor is basically what I'm trying to say. Celtic had the shot, Eriksson saved it, and Celtic had the corner. And Greg Taylor sprinting to the ball as though it's a 0-0 or they're getting beat 2-0 in a game. They're 4-0 up, and Dundee United's got no chance in the game. And Greg Taylor's running about like it's a 0-0. That's an amazing mentality to have as far as Celtic's concerned. And I speak about mentality there. That's a big concern as far as Dundee United's concerned. And it showed that Celtic have a hunger, they have a desire, they have a willingness about their play, they have an organisation about their play. Also, they can play in the front foot, they can attack teams, they can expose teams. And let's be honest, I don't think they'll hit other Scottish Premiership teams by 9, but I do think fellow teams that are similar to Dundee United will have tough afternoons, as what Celtic did this afternoon there. As what Dundee United did this afternoon, beg your pardon. And you've got to feel the worst for Jack Ross, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at that Celtic team, I mean, I said in the group chat at 4-0, I said this could be another Liverpool game from yesterday. Lo and behold, it ended up being that way. But if you look just at that Celtic team, they've got two players scoring hat-tricks in Kyogo and Abada. I mean, again, I thought Abada was absolutely outstanding. And not just the fact he got a hat-trick, but he's got a few assists in that game as well.
He's brilliant. As I've said, he's everything you want in a striker. He's good in terms of scoring goals, but his overall build-up play is very, very good as well. The modern-day striker is usually judged on scoring goals, but they're not really judged or they're undermined when it comes to assisting goals, playing a valuable contribution in goals. It's something that goes under the radar in the media when we're speaking about strikers on a consistent basis, because we're a little bit old school in that regard when we speak about strikers and how they should operate and how their overall positions should be played. And we don't speak about the fact that these players put in a power of work to help their fellow teammates. I mean, we speak about Kyogo's goals, but what you don't see is as you alluded to, you see his overall contribution to other teammates as well. If he doesn't have that, Celtic aren't the team they are, or Celtic don't have the tools that they usually would. And for me, that's a big issue. And I just want to raise something. Obviously Liverpool got that 9-0 win yesterday, Graham. And Leanne Sanderson, who's obviously an England women's player, who obviously won the Euros with England in the summer. She was like 9-0 in the men's game seems to equal great performance, absolutely. In the women's game for some, it equals poor goalkeeping, and women's football is rubbish, or the double standard, how ironic. But she's right, 100% she's right. But at the same time as well, these fluke results can happen. But do you think this is a sign of where Scottish football's at just now?
It's funny because not on this subject, but I was listening to Sports Sound yesterday, and they were having a discussion about the fact that is Celtic and Rangers doing so well in the Champions League and getting more money a good thing for Scottish football? Now, I got a lot of the points they were making, but as a Scottish football fan, I'm a Hearts fan, yeah. But to have Celtic in Europe, Rangers in Europe, and Hearts in Europe, I think is great for Scottish football. But results like today, if you're looking at that from outside in, you're thinking, that's awful. But then you look at Liverpool yesterday winning 9-0. It does happen, you know. Leicester beat Southampton 9-0. Man United, I think, beat Southampton 9-0 as well. So these fluke results can happen. But for me today, watching that scoreline, it doesn't put Scottish football in a great light.
No, well, that's exactly it. I mean, we've seen stuff in the women's game of recent in Scotland, such as Rangers beating Glasgow Women 14-0 and Aberdeen got 7. No, not Aberdeen. Dundee United, sorry, got 7. We'll see. Dundee United got 7 against Glasgow City Wednesday, actually. Wednesday just passed there. Aberdeen got 8 against Rangers. And that's not a good look for a women's game in this country. But when we're looking at that, we're going, Aberdeen aren't good enough, Dundee United aren't good enough, Glasgow Women aren't good enough, Glasgow Women, laughingstock, all these kind of stuff. I think today you're getting similar vibes in the men's game. Obviously, the Dundee United fans or Scottish football fans, may add, sorry, are looking at that and going, Dundee United, absolute embarrassment, absolute laughingstock. Jack Ross finished in the game. And I think Jack Ross has got to resurrect himself and fast. Now, he's not died as a football manager, not for 1 minute. But at the same time as well, I think he's got to resurrect himself. But for Celtic, they weren't given 2 jots about how today evolved because, let's be honest, they've got a busy period coming up. That's a statement from Celtic today. Not a statement just in terms of the league, because in terms of the league, it's the bread and butter. It's how they're going to it's how the mentality goes moving forward. Obviously, they've got the Glasgow Derby next Sunday, which will be a very intriguing one. And then Celtic have got Dundee United today, which they've swamped 9 against. They've got Ross County on Wednesday in the Premier Sports Cup. They've got Glasgow Derby on Sunday. And then they've got Real Madrid in the Champions League next week. Yeah. Yeah. 4 extremely tough games. And you want the level of confidence to be sky high before playing a team of that calibre. So for Celtic, they're not caring one bit about the win. It's about the performance. It's about getting confidence into the team.
Yeah, we'll get back to that game in a minute, but I just wanted to ask you something. You just touched the women's game there, and I'm not for 1 minute criticising women's game because I think it's great, and we are a big advocate of it. But I was looking at the league table yesterday for the SWPL, right? Rangers today are playing their 4th game of the season. They've scored 28 goals and conceded none. Glasgow City have played 4 games. They've scored 17 and conceded 1. And Celtic are played 3 games. They've scored 15 and conceded none. So what does that say about the women's game?
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think it tells you that we've still got a long way to go in the women's game. Obviously, your Glasgow sides, Glasgow City Rangers and Celtic are all full-time. Hibs are going full-time as well, but we say full-time and Celtic going swamp Hibs for 9 a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think it was. And it's not a good look for a women's game in that regard. And for me, I think the SWF needs, or SPFL, beg your pardon now, need to have a much more organised structure. Every season there's been no relegation for the last 3 or 4 years because we've either had an extra team in the league or they've not done relegation because of COVID, which is understandable. For me, we need a much more organised structure, or else you're going to see a recurring theme in his 8 nils, 9 nils, 10 nils, 12 nils, which isn't a good look at all. But then we're at the end of August, not even in September yet, not even at Halloween yet, and we've seen, well, I'm going to look out with the boundaries of Scottish football here when I say this as well. Liverpool beat Bournemouth 9-0 in the men's game. Celtic hitting Dundee United for 9 today. Alkmaar hitting Dundee United for 7 10 days ago. No, 10 days ago. You've also got various scores within the war records of football. They're looking at it and going, really? And it's funny. And it's awkward at the same time.
No, I completely agree with you. Just before we touch on United, I just want to touch on Celtic just before we finish this. Obviously, they've got the big game against Rangers next week. Rangers won yesterday, which we'll get on to shortly. I mean, I think we can honestly say that the Celtic Rangers games are going to be huge, but Celtic will go into this now with a lot of confidence. And just that front three, they are just so impressive.
Yeah, well, as I said, Celtic will look at this and says 3 points is 3 points, which is the right thing to do. But at the same time as well, when things were going precarious and extremely tough for Dundee United, Celtic weren't given 2 jots about it. Because if Celtic were to win 4-0 today and then pass the ball about tiki-taka, Barcelona 2008 style football, it'd be all fine and well. But at the same time as well, you'd be looking at that and going, training ground exercise. We achieved nothing out of it. And would it benefit Celtic going to that game in 10 days' time in the Champions League? Not one bit. And I think Celtic have done the right thing by not giving up what they believe in and continuing to play their own style of football. Now, I've seen Celtic go to Tyrese twice last season and absolutely not demoralise Dundee United, but be extremely dominant. And it was nowhere near the scale of today. And I'd argue that Ange Postecoglou's Celtic are far superior to what they were last year. They're much more diligent. They're much more on the front foot. They're much more, they're much more clear cut in front of goal. They're much more organised. What a difference! What a job Ange Postecoglou's done at Celtic. I made the point on State Scottish Football Friday after I left this show, and I went and said, I think the Champions League is massive for Ange Postecoglou. Now, it all starts as of, I would say, today, but you need 2 other big performances. If they can go and beat Ross County comfortably on Wednesday and then go and beat Rangers on Sunday, I think that gives a good marker for Celtic heading into that Champions League game. And let's be honest, you feared the worst for Celtic after Lennon moved on. Feared the worst because the overall validity of the club had become toxic. It's completely different now. Any Celtic fan you speak to will look at that Celtic side and go, exciting, amazement, enjoyable, lovely, sexy, although I don't mean that in another terminology. They'll say all the brilliant words and all the positive vibes that comes and attaches with Celtic. And today, that's just went up another 10. That volume button is just pushed up another 10 times.
Hashbury Stumble says the women's game suffers from participant numbers. Top teams get the best players and the others pick up on the best of the rest. Same as the men's game. Is that a fair point, Dave?
I would say so, yeah. Obviously, we are improving in terms of participant numbers, but to get Stumble's point, we suffer from participant numbers at the highest level of the game. Now, I've seen things on social media, and I'm going to credit some clubs in here. I've seen the likes of Dundee West, Laura Costello, that club. She's doing some terrific work. Grampian ladies up here in Aberdeen, they're doing some fantastic work with kids here. They really get players and girls from a very deprived area in Aberdeen a chance to play football, a chance to get them off the streets. And I think they've done some terrific work at Grampian. They play at a terrific facility at Banksty, who play in the Highland League. And they're a fantastic football club who are going from strength to strength, and they play in the championship section of the SWF at the moment. So that's pretty impressive in itself. Obviously, as I touched on, Dundee West, they play in the same level, but Dundee West, they've been doing a lot of like walking football and football hobby sessions. Same with Forfar Farmington. Forfar Farmington aren't exactly the team they were, because obviously they used to be a professional outfit. When I say professional outfit, they were amateur sided paper, but they played in a professional league. But they've came back. They won't be back to professional in the next 2-3 years. Let's get that straight. But at the same time as well, they're promoting football for players. They've still got an 18s set up within the National Performance Academy in the women's game, which is all fine and well. They've obviously got a team that plays in the North West League, which is basically a grassroots league. So they're giving opportunities to players within the community. It'll be the same for teams down the road, Edinburgh and Glasgow as well. They'll offer terrific opportunities to players. I mean, I'll look at Gatcare as a benchmark. Gatcare got promoted from the Championship and are giving players professional contracts. Same with Kilmarnock. I think that needs to be applauded. Same with Montrose up here as well. Montrose have been really, really good in terms of the pathway that they've been on, because they've had 2 promotions within a short space of time. So the women's game is going from strength to strength up here. We do lack in participant numbers, and that's what whacks the women's game at the top end. At the same time as well, as I'm alluding to, we've obviously got great numbers in terms of people who, after their work or after busy days or whatever have you, go and spend their Monday nights, their Wednesday nights, their Thursday nights playing football for fun. And it's better. It gives them a lot of benefit. It gives them a lot of confidence instead of watching Emmerdale and Coronation Street every day from 7 to 8. They're out playing football, and it's brilliant to see.
26 minutes on the clock at Tynecastle, and it's now Hearts 1, St Johnstone 1. Kyle Ribbles has got his first goal for the club, so 1-1 at Tynecastle. Let's look at Dundee United. I don't know where to start with this, Dave. They've now, after they defeated Alkmaar in that first game, they have now conceded 23 goals in their last 4 games. Now, I said in the group chat, maybe harshly, that if you lose by 9-0, you should offer your resignation. Just how much worse can it get for Jack Ross? And what does he say after a game like that?
Yeah, I was just going to bring something up. He has spoken to Sky, I'm led to believe, but I don't know if he's spoken to anybody else. There was a photo appearing in the group chat I'm in, but he has been speaking to the press. But I don't know if there's any quotes or anything like that. You'll be the first to know, Harshbridge, because we'll bring it up. Pitiful. There's no other way to bring it up. Pitiful. We're pitiful today. Once the second and third goal went respectively, the mentality shrunk, the mentality deteriorated. And for me, that's a sad state of affairs at Dundee United at this precise moment in time, where even when Celtic are ruthless, relentless, and on the front foot, you'd have liked for there to be a bit more of a competitive edge. I'm a big believer in football terms that if you get humped minimum 5-0, as long as you give 100% against a higher caliber of opponent, I don't think anybody can begrudge you. Obviously, there'll be 1 or 2 that'll still have negative vibes to an extent because of the scoreline and the extent of it. But the fact that Dundee United rarely tried after a certain amount of goals was pitiful. And the fact that Nicky Clark, I don't think it was from one of the goals, but Nicky Clark gave the ball away on one occasion. He tried to pass the ball to Freeman, and Freeman, the rest of the United defence did very, very little about it. And that's when it was getting very frustrating. And I was sitting there going, what the hell has just happened here? And I'm pretty sure had I been off air speaking to you right now about this game, I'd have been giving you a wee swear word there. That's just how horrible and torrential it was for Dundee United. Celtic were full throttle this afternoon, no question about it. But it wasn't helped by the fact that Dundee United were all over the place. It was like it was 4 players defensively, or we'll go as far as 6 players defensively, who have just made up a Sunday league team at a local park along the road, and they've made it their own. They've made their own team, and they're up against a side like Celtic now. I mean this with all respect possible. But I seen something on Twitter. I forgot who said it. It wasn't a journalist or a pundit or anything, but there was a thing, right? When Dundee United played Celtic, it was like a Bristol Rovers disability team. in terms of Dundee United, right? Whilst when they played Rangers, it was a Barcelona team, and for me, it was like Dundee United were playing like a junior outfit. They were playing like a junior outfit. They weren't playing like a high league team. They weren't playing like a. They weren't even playing like a championship team. And for those that don't know, I obviously cover a Broth regularly for the Daily Record, and I might possibly be seeing Dundee at Gayfield this next season, depending how things go at Gayfield. Their eggs obviously both are bottom just now in the championship, but if they both stay up, there's every possibility I could be seeing Dundee at Gayfield next season.
Obviously, Jack Ross will take a lot of pressure for that. But for me, a lot of those United players chucked it, and that is unforgivable. You've got to play professional pride, and a lot of those United players didn't do that.
I mean, pride's a big word here. I mean, you'd like to think you'd take pride in your own performances. I mean, when performances drop, teams stop looking at you. When you put in a high level of performance, that's when you put yourself in the shop window. A good performance against a Celtic or Rangers, and teams are beginning to show an interest. That's how Benji Segas ultimately got his move to Celtic, just to give you a prime example. It's a fantastic goalkeeper performances in United shirt, and him his move to the East End of Glasgow. It's the same with other players that have descended upon a Dundee or Dundee United and Aberdeen, a Hibs or Hearts. They went to Edinburgh, they went to clubs, beg your pardon, impressed, and then moved on to either a big Glasgow club or they've moved to England. These opportunities to play where there's exposure in front of you on live television, it's an opportunity for pride. Also, at the same time, it's an opportunity to put you in the shop window. And nobody can get past Manchester United shirt as far as I'm concerned this afternoon.
Dave, you spoke about Liam Boyce earlier. Liam Boyce has just put Hearts ahead. It is now Hearts 2 that St Johnstone won. Liam Boyce after 31 minutes, and it's been created by another guy that I've been a little bit critical of, Josh Ginnelly.
Great to see Liam Boyce back in the scoring charts because he's been leading goals. There's no denying it. Obviously, the good start to life at Tynecastle, Liam Boyce, but it's good to see him back up and firing. There's got a lot of competition with Liam Boyce this year because of obviously Shankland and his goal scoring prowess in front of goal. So for Boyce to go and score when there's a lot of responsibility on him, it's pretty good going.
Yeah, so Hearts 2, St Johnstone 1. You'll see my face getting a lot brighter now, but that could change. So just to finish on United, their next game now is against Livingston in the League Cup on Wednesday, and then they play Motherwell on Saturday. I mean, how massive are these two games for United now after this?
Yeah, massive for Dundee. But what I will say as well, Graham, is I think that's a massive game. I think it's a massive game at the Tony Macaroni Arena on Wednesday because you've got a Livingston side that we'll get on to, of course, but you've got a Livingston side that traumatised 5-0 by Aberdeen yesterday after sending off from Jack Fitzwater. And then you've got a Dundee United side that are bereft of confidence. It's going to be a massive game for both sides of that on Wednesday, and it's going to be an intriguing one to say the least.
It certainly will. So let's look now at the games from yesterday, and we'll start at Ibrox, where Rangers beat Ross County by 4-0. A double from Antonio Cholak, a goal from Jordan Lindstrom, and a goal from Stephen Davis. Now, I was hoping that I wouldn't come on the show and be talking about refereeing controversy, but we're going to, because in the 16th minute, Jordi Awula is through. He is rugby tackled by James Sands, who's already on a booking, and Don Robertson, inexplicably, he doesn't give a free kick, he doesn't give a yellow card, he doesn't give a red card, he waves play on. I mean, Dave, I talk about referees being poor. That was a dreadful, dreadful decision.
I made the point in the group chat last night, Graham, and I stand by my point. Who's this? Sorry, checking on me here. It's okay, it's not a phone call. Anyway, yeah, when you look at yesterday's instance, I mean, I made a point in the group chat about Don Robertson and the fact that his fellow colleagues within the Scottish game got an euphoria against him, just in the sense of the instance that went in the suggestion of Joe Lindstrom and Morelos Morelos getting sent off justifiably. Lindstrom, a little bit more debatable. And there was obviously a level of euphoria attached to Roy Coleman. But there was also a level of euphoria attached to the referees in the Ross County Kilmarnock game and the Motherwell game after the handball incident. Three separate incidents. And if Don Robertson had waved sending off to James Sands that early into the game, I think the back pages would have been littered with Don Robertson's face all over it. And I don't think Don Robertson wanted that negative level of exposure. I think a lot of people will be looking at that and saying, should have went, especially with Sands being in the yellow card. And at the same time, it was utterly embarrassing from Don Robertson. And I think somebody made the point, no, you made the point actually in a group chat about Roy Coleman getting Queen's Park against Cove yesterday. But that's how the refereeing structure goes, which is a bit of a shambles, to be honest. When referees 1 week get the highest game possible, i.e. Hibs Rangers, and next week they get Queen's Park against Cove, at Ochilview Park at Steynersmuir. And I mean, it's a different animal, it's a different chalk and cheese. And I think Don Robertson has got it horribly wrong. But at the same time, as I'm alluding to, I don't think he's made that decision because of the fact he knew the euphoria and he knew the vitriol that his fellow colleagues got and received externally the week previous.
I completely agree with you, and I said that in the group chat last night, but I was watching that and I watched Robertson's reaction, and it basically goes like that. Like, what? I would love to know what he thought happened there. Why does he think Jordi Woolley goes down there? What reason has he got to not? I mean, I don't know what he sees.
Well, I mean, this is where the officials don't help themselves. This is where the officials don't come in consistently. As soon as that challenge is made, Malky Mackay is in the fourth official's face. I think it was on this specific show I raised last Sunday. Was it last Sunday? I think it was. About the fact that the fourth officials get paid £200 minimum per game to basically sit beside the dugout to make sure the dugouts calm down and make sure the dugouts aren't condemned with vitriol, condemned with slaughtering, condemned with loud verbal noises. And when you look at what Malky Mackay was doing, he had every right and was justifiable in his protest towards the fourth official. But then the fourth official just goes, nah, see you later, Malky. And it's horrendous to say the least. The linesman
sorry, I've just got to say, sorry, Dave. I was looking at it again last night. Now, there's nobody in Don Robertson's way. He's got a full view of that. And again, the assistant has got nobody in his way. I do not understand. And I think you're right. For me personally, I'm going to say it now. I think Don Robertson bottled that because of the thing that happened last week. And that, for me, is unforgivable.
Yeah, and I'd love to. I'll be very intrigued to see what the SFA refereeing department say this week, because Roy Coleman, as I alluded to just a couple of minutes ago, Queen's Park against Cove yesterday. Yeah, he wasn't demoted. Demoted's not the right word here. He was just obviously deployed. I think deployed's the better word. And I'm interested to see if Don Robertson gets. I'll give you an example on the Grove Partick Thistle, just to give you an example. And then I'll be careful on Saturday. And I'll be able to tell you each Sunday how terrible performance Don Robertson had. But it was a horrendous performance, a horrendous decision, and one in which he'll get away with, not primarily because of the fact that it was Rangers and obviously the stature of the club, but probably more because of how his fellow colleagues got euphoria the week beforehand, and this will be brushed under the carpet in the SFA refereeing department, I think. Obviously, there's got to be observers at the games every week, as I've explained to you a couple of weeks ago, but I can see this being brushed under the carpet now.
Yeah, I mean, Malky Mackay is absolutely right to be furious. Listen, we don't know what would have happened. Rangers may win the game anyway, but it's a massive, massive call at 0-0. You know, Rangers might have had to change things. It's just a ridiculous decision. But it doesn't get made. Rangers win the game comfortably in the end by 4-0. A great strike from John Lindstrom. And Dave, Antonio Cholak now with 7-7 is proving to be a very, very good signing for Rangers.
I mean, settling into life at Glasgow, whether you're Celtic or Rangers, is very, very hard. But the fact that Kovac just came into Glasgow and settled in straight away is very good going. So I think he deserves a lot of praise that way. I just think he's made the number 9 shirt his own. Yeah, he won't be the number 9 on the back, but he's made the number 9 shirt his own. He's been absolutely fantastic in the Rangers shirt. He's shown consistently, time and time again, how he doesn't need loads and loads of opportunities in order to convert chances. And that's the pleasing thing for Kovac. At the same time as well, there's a lot of responsibility in him moving forward, because I'm led to believe Giovanni is going to be having talks with Morales today. But I can't see that situation getting rectified, or soon anyway. And I can see Kovac leading the line moving forward for Rangers. And it's a big, I'd say it's a big week for Kovac. I can't see him playing Tuesday. I can't see him playing against Queen of South on Tuesday. I just think it'd be too big a risk. Too big a risk in the aspect of the fact that, one, they've got Celtic on Sunday. Secondly, they're playing, with all due respect, a League One side. The Rangers will be expected to go and win fairly comfortably. Queen of South haven't started the league season in League One very, very well. I think they've only had one win, and they beat the Falkirk yesterday. And I could see Kovac being on the bench, and if Rangers are struggling, he'll come on and make a difference. But I can't see him starting Tuesday. I think it's fresh, ready to go for Sunday, where he can go and make an instant impact in the Glasgow derby.
I agree completely. And I think we talk about Kyogo earlier and his movement and his ability to find the space. To be honest, looking at Rangers, I think Cholak's exactly the same. He's a very, very impressive finisher around that penalty box.
Oh, 100%. He does a lot more work that Morales wouldn't have done. And that's the thing that ticks for Rangers. They obviously have a level of certainty in the final third. But one thing they don't have now is they don't have a level of predictability. When Morales was involved, Morales would obviously score goals. Morales would obviously have an impact on the Rangers side, but they had a level of predictability about them. They don't have that under Kovac. Kovac is good in terms of being the talisman, but he's also good in terms of the fact that he can get other players involved. It's got similarities to Celtic, but Rangers do things their own different ways. And I think Rangers have shown how consistent they can be on home soil. And for Rangers, I think the positive thing was to make sure yesterday wasn't a hangover, and also to make sure they go back to winning ways after the disappointment at Hibs last weekend as well.
I spoke, we obviously know about John Lindstrom after the sending off last week, but it was a very, very good finish for his first goal of the game.
100%, yeah. John Lindstrom offers a lot of stability to the Rangers side. He's just brilliant in everything that he does, and he's obviously a top player. He's been really, really good in terms of the stability that he provides, but also he's quite good in terms of doing the defensive work. And he's also good in terms of getting forward and getting some important goals. He scored some important European goals for Rangers last season. He's going to be an important player for Rangers again this year. And it was probably the best thing from a Rangers perspective to avoid him getting suspension yesterday, because it was a good opportunity to maintain the momentum. Will he start Tuesday against Queen of the South? That for me is $1 million question.
And the game was obviously wrapped up by Stephen Davis. I think Stephen Davis is a fantastic player. And again, yeah, he's getting on a bit, but the guy has still got a lot of quality for Rangers.
Yeah, before I moved on, Jack Ross is actually on Radio Scotland as we speak. But as for Davis, Davis shows his experience time and time again. He's just a quality player within his own right. And the fact that he's still providing an asset, proven to be an asset, at his tender age, just goes to show you the quality of player that he is. He's got everything that you like to see in a midfielder. He's got a lot of, he uses quality, he uses experience, he uses a lot of agility, he's got a lot of ability in his own play. He's just a player that you just like to see. And he's very, very good in that regard. But I'm going to quit the Rangers chat for a minute Jack Ross says his side were an embarrassment, but insists he can still turn the team's fortunes around. He said, we conceded goals that were akin to training ground exercises against mannequins. I'll get what he said. Here's what Jack Ross had to say.
To me, describing it as humiliating and embarrassing, I think in different ways for me, first and foremost, professionally, because I think the pride you haven't done your job properly. I think for players, they should feel the same way. I think for us as a club, we should never be beat by that scoreline at any level of football. So for fan base, football club, I know they'll feel the same way, and that responsibility ultimately always falls upon my shoulders. Yeah, I mean, I think you have faith in your managerial abilities through previous experiences, and the challenges you've overcome in my football career and coaching career. It's not in my character not to think that I can do it and not to want to do it, so that will remain there.
So there you go, Jack Ross speaking after his sides. 9-0 demoralising defeat by Celtic, but Stephen Davis, a player that carries everything that you look for in the midfielder. He's got an old school vibe about him, Stephen Davis.
I mean, just touching on Jack Ross there, I mean, obviously he sounds very angry, rightly so. He says that he can turn it round. Obviously, he's got to say that. Do you genuinely think he can?
As I said earlier on to you, Graham, he needs to resurrect himself. Now, he's not done as a manager. He's not the worst manager I've ever met. He's also done some good stuff within the game. But you get the feeling that this is the beginning of the end. And if him and Tony Arshker are sitting in the Tardis Park boardroom tonight, I can see Tony Arshker having a few exchanges. Tony Arshker's came out and gave them a vote of confidence, but that vote of confidence can only get you so far. And Jack Ross needs to weather the storm, but then weather the storm in a short space of time. And it's Wednesday at Livingston becomes a very, very important game now for Dundee United, because don't win that, the vitriol will turn big time. It's massive already, but it will become huge if they don't win on Wednesday.
To be fair, I've been looking at United Twitter earlier, and there's a lot of United fans want Jack Ross out, which is understandable after that.
I think there was a poll. And there was 90% wanting them out, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a surprise after a result like that. I think looking at Ross County, though, obviously a disappointment, but listen, they should have been playing against 10 men, but their next game now is against Celtic on Wednesday in the League Cup. Now, you've got to assume that Celtic are going to rest a lot of players, as you mentioned, going into the game on Saturday. Do you think this is a chance for Ross County to compete against Celtic, maybe even try and get a result against them?
I would say so. I mean, Celtic will be as ruthless, they'll be relentless as they were today. I think Celtic will have a high level of confidence after today. But at the same time as well, it's a good opportunity for Ross County, because you got to make the Global Energy Stadium a bit of a fortress. And it's a big game in terms of testing themselves at home. Now, Celtic had to rescue themselves late on Dingwall a few weeks ago, and needed a late winner in order to go win the game, and obviously killed the game off with a third towards the tail end of the match. But as far as Celtic was concerned, they've never had an easy game up at Dingwall, and it will remain the same on Wednesday. I mean, the travel aspect will be no excuse, because obviously Celtic are accustomed and professional in everything that they do. At the same time as well, when you look at Ross County, you got to, first of all, try and get to a quarter-final of a League Cup. Secondly, try and knock out one of the big Glasgow sides, so it opens up endless opportunities for sides out with the Glasgow 2. So there's a lot of incentive for Ross County on Wednesday. And the fact it's on telly, it's an opportunity for Ross County to make a good go of it. But Ross Calkin and Jack Baldwin are still suspended. Yes, they are, because it's too much immediate rather than too much week. So they'll be missing them. But apart from that, County will have a lot of quality. And I think you've seen yesterday at Ibrox how they can have a go at teams, how they can try and sucker punch when toiling. And it's an opportunity to get a goal, not sit back, but get a goal and try and drive on from there.
There are 4 days left of the transfer window. Can you see Malky Mackay being a busy man in this next few days?
I can, yeah. I think Malky Mackay's still got a lot of work to do. I mean, I can see there being a lot of work done in terms of not the goalkeeping department, because I think that's covered. Defensively, they look okay. Up front, they look okay. Midfield, maybe need an extra player, but I think what Malky Mackay's done, to his credit, is he has taken players that he took in pre-season. He's not just he's not just rushing around. He's done things proactively, and I think he deserves a lot of praise in that regard. It's better that way instead of looking at players and bringing them in, and then you've got to spend September, October working on a plan. It's better to get the plan in immediately, and that plan was already or going to have stumbling blocks. They played Bucky, struggled. They played Alwa, struggled. They played. Who else did they play? They played East Fife. Well, that was more comfortable, but that was after having a good run of games together, and they obviously improved on that. Ross County went to Italy, and maybe they haven't started the season the way they'd have liked, but at the same time as well, there is improvement, there is progression, and there is a real belief in the way team are playing, and I think that is a good thing moving forward.
Bit of a slight concern at Tynecastle. There are 6 minutes of injury time. Liam Boyce has been stretchered off. Hearts have made a change. Lawrence Shankland is on for Liam Boyce, but also Kyle Rowles was also taken off earlier and replaced by Barry Mackay. So Hearts are 2-1 ahead, but we do have a couple of injuries. That's got to be a concern for Robin Nielsen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's always never a good look. And when you look at it, Robbie's obviously not had his troubles to seek. I mean, when you look at things and you look at how Hearts want to set up, they obviously want to have a season where they're injury free. That's where Hearts got a lot of benefit from last season. Hearts went through the majority of the season. Injury free. And whenever they had injuries, it was nothing too serious. And the hope for Hearts now is to maintain a high level of health, and they can obviously build on from that. And that's the good thing, because it's actually funny. When you look at a lot of the sides that are struggling or conceive the struggle, sometimes it's because of the way the injuries come about. It can be poor form, but at the same time, you also got an idea where the team want to be at, and Hearts have a good enough squad as it is, but the injuries is concerning, yes.
So let's move on to Pittodrie, where Aberdeen inflicted a 5-0 defeat on Livingston, a double for Bojan Majowski, a goal for Bezajun, a brilliant goal from Ross McCrory, and a first goal for Ryan Duncan. But, Dave, for the first 40 minutes, Livingston were very, very good. And then Jack Fitzwater gets sent off for a challenge on Majowski, who scores a penalty. And after that, it was pretty much downhill for Livingston.
Yeah, it seemed to be an even game until that sending off, and it was. I think I've got the paper here actually. I think Martindale said they were a better side until the sending off. I'll see what it says actually. I think Martindale. I think because when you look at it, Livingston are a good side. They've started the season very, very well, and the fact that they didn't capitalise on the wonderful start they had is a disappointing one. And Martindale said. Until the sending off, we were a better team. At 11v11, we were good value for money, but then we'd make an absolutely stupid mistake. We're not ready. We're not set. Players weren't in their positions. We were naive, and one mistake leads to another. Jack wasn't prepared. And yeah, it's a silly one. And yeah, for Livingston, it was always going to be a frustrating afternoon once Fitzwater goes. And Livingston haven't had to deal with much adversity in a wee while. They've been a side that have been normally 9 times out of 10 competitive. They've been a side that like to be in the front foot. We've seen that with Newbley and Anderson in particular scoring goals. They've been since Martindale's been in the position as number one manager. They have been organised. They haven't conceded a lot of goals. They've been in good runs of form. Yesterday was a blip. I think yesterday was a massive blip as far as Livingston are concerned. And once Aberdeen got going, there was no looking back. And it was, I said to you, I did think it was going to be a hard one for Aberdeen yesterday because Livingston do have a good track record in recent seasons against Aberdeen. And I didn't think this was going to be an easy game by any stretch of imagination for Jim Goodwin's side. And so it proved to be. But it's a good 3 points for Jim Goodwin's side. But for Livingston, it's incredibly disappointing and something that they'll have to move on from. And as I said to you earlier on when we were looking back at Jack Ross, I think it's an important game for Livingston now, just an aspect of the fact they will look for a reaction. And 2 defeats is something that you don't really see a lot of. But Livingston, it's not really a recurring theme. And normally when there's 2 or 3 defeats at a club like Livingston, when Martindale is in charge, you're usually seeing something changing. It's either the system will change or players won't play, or we'll just see how it evolves moving forward. I think Wednesday will give us a lot better answers than it would today. And I mean, when you look at Livingston, they've still got a lot to go. They've still got levels to reach, and I'm still confident they'll have a good season because they're touted to be having a strong campaign. But yesterday hurt them massively, and they just didn't have the answers once Fitzwater got sent off.
David Martindale appeared to kind of lay a bit of the blame at the goalkeeper for giving Fitzwater the ball. I think that's very harsh. I think Fitzwater's got to do a lot better there.
I'd agree. Yeah, I think Fitzwater has to do a lot more. I mean, it's a situation which could be dealt with better. But I think Fitzwater will learn his lesson moving forward. And it's not a good one to see. When you look at it, I mean, it's never a good look. And obviously killed the game and killed the contest as far as Livingston were concerned. And they had no answers after that. And it was incredibly frustrating. And I mean, it's not the first time that Martindale's pinned the blame on goalkeepers. I mean, Stryak's obviously moved on to Wickham now. It's a good move for Stryak going across to England. But he's signed Shamal George, who's been pleasant enough. He's had some good saves in the Livingston jersey so far. And the 5 goals will hurt George massively yesterday. Same time as well, though. It's a good one in terms of the fact that he can go and learn from that now. And Livingston, there'll be a lot of work getting done by Martindale and Marvin Bartlett at the training pitch this week because Wednesday they'll get away with Wednesday scot-free. They can probably play the same setup. I can see Martindale making 1 or 2 changes, but in the forward areas in the park. It's Saturday where they'll have to have a real purpose defensively, and Saturday will give us a lot of answers as to where Livingston are at this precise moment in time. But yesterday was always going to be a frustrating one, and I mean, when you look at it, there's a lot to strive for. Livingston have had a good start to the season. A lot of people seem to forget that. And they've also got Hearts on Saturday, and obviously with Fitzwater in that one. I'm interested to see what they do. I mean, obviously, Livingston yesterday played Devlin, Oberlai, Montano defensively alongside Fitzwater. I could see them going for that specific 3 again, and I could see maybe obviously the player coming back in, Baham Bula. He'll come back in for Livingston. That's a good name actually. But I could see them changing the setup defensively. It's going to be interesting to see how they get on against a side like Hearts because Livingston can easily upset Hearts at Tony McInroy Arena. It's a terrific opportunity. It's a fortress, Tony McInroy Arena for Livingston. And it's an opportunity to see where Livingston are at, I think, next week. And it's a big week because if they can get progression on Wednesday and then sub it at Hearts, I think it's an impressive week as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it is half-time at Tynecastle now. It is Hearts 2, St Johnstone 1. St Johnstone taking the lead. And actually, it was a mistake from Craig Gordon, unlike him, that led Graham Carey to score. But Hearts lead through goals from Kai Rowles and Liam Boyce, who both, ironically, have been taken off. So 2-1 to Hearts at half-time. Now, if we're looking at Kyogo's goal-scoring record, we're looking at Antonio Cholik's record for Rangers. Bojan Majowski has 5 and 5. Again, he is looking a very, very good bit of business from Jim Goodwin.
Yeah, he's singing his praises. And before I continue, Bojan Majowski, I think it's the way out now for Christian Ramirez. I appreciate the competition. I appreciate what Jim Goodwin's telling the press after games in relation to both strikers. But at the same time, and we obviously touched on this on last Sunday's show when we were speaking about Glenn Schroeder's conversation in relation to Bojan and Christian. But I think Bojan will lead the way now. I think Bojan's got the opportunity to go and make the number 9 shirt his own. Now, he's got it already, obviously, but with Ramadani playing the way he does, and Bojan Miovski being the constant figure that he is up front for Aberdeen, it's only going to bond well moving forward for Aberdeen. They're in a very, very good place in the forward areas. Now, when you look at it, you handed the penalty over to Vicente Bajou, which I don't think Goodwin was particularly pleased about. It was somebody he very much didn't encourage, sorry. But at the same time as well, I think it's good that Bojan isn't being a selfish character either. It's good that he's handing responsibility over to other players. If Vicente getting that goal will do him his confidence the world of good, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a sticky toffee pudding for Vicente Bajur last night as well. But as for Bojan, just brilliant for him to keep on scoring, and it also raises the standards in the attacking areas of the pitch, so long may that continue.
Do you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to mention this actually. I thought that was a really classy touch from Majowski. You know, he's already scored the penalty. Now, if he scores that penalty, he's already got a goal later on. He's got a hat-trick. I think to hand that ball to Besajun shows that not only is he a very good striker, but he's also a very good team player. And you can see after Besajun scored, the first player to go to him was Bojan. I thought that was a touch of class.
I'm a big believer, Graham, in players giving themselves accountability at an individual level. I'm also a big advocate of when players help each other within the team. There'll be a fantastic team spirit within the Aberdeen camp right now. It's obviously telling within the results. The disappointing outcome at Motherwell and Celtic, well, they were ragged by Celtic and Ange Postecoglou, basically. But I think the tide's changing at Pittodrie, and there's a really good team spirit. And the fact that Aberdeen are running rampant against a side like Livingston, and not only that, winning by 5-0, irrespective of the implications that happen within the Livingston camp, I think it shows where Aberdeen are going. I think it shows the confidence that is surrounded with the Aberdeen team at the moment. And there's a lot going right for Jim Goodwin's side at this precise moment in time. And he's got a big week coming up. He's got to make sure that he avoids a banana skin on Tuesday. Aaron, he's got Aaron in the Premier Sports Cup. Aaron haven't started the League 2 campaign impressive. They had a really, really good Premier Sports Cup, Peter Murphy's side, but haven't started the Premier Sports Cup. They haven't started the league campaign, too impressive. And I think it's a good opportunity for Jim Goodwin to maintain the fine run of form. And Aberdeen got a lot of travelling this week. Aaron on Tuesday, they're up to Dingwall on Saturday to play Ross County. It's going to be a good team bonding week for Aberdeen because there'll be a lot of travelling. There'll be a lot of getting to know each other. Something that probably wouldn't have been able to do at Cormac Park, despite the fact that you're in a closed-door environment. Now, Aberdeen's been displaying it. I don't think they had the full nucleus of the team involved. So I think this is going to be a productive week for Aberdeen in so many cases. And then obviously 6 point progression on Tuesday, and then when Ross County on Saturday, will do Aberdeen the world of good prior to beating Rangers on Sunday lunchtime, which will be a big game for Aberdeen indeed.
I'm hoping that Craig 2702 is a jambo, because he says 2-1 to the third best team in Scotland, and I am not going to disagree with that at all, Craig. I hope you're a jambo, and I hope you're well. Thank you for joining us. Ross McCrory, an absolutely brilliant strike, sliced it across the keeper, fantastic strike, and again, I think McCrory is one of these guys that Aberdeen fans really like, and Jim Goodwin likes. He's a worker. He gets forward. I know he's put it at the back for Rangers for Aberdeen before, but I think for me, he looks far better as a central midfielder, and it's a great goal.
When you look at McCrory when he played against Motherwell, Aberdeen got exposed on so many occasions because of the way Aberdeen had to adapt their team, and I think it was an under par showing, and it wasn't a black mark by any stretch of imagination against Jim Goodwin. But at the same time as well, Aberdeen were looking at that and going, right, that the system we used in that specific game in question didn't work. We need to move on. We need to get something with a much more, we need to have a much more disciplined outlook to our team. And they've had that in the last few weeks. Johnstone was a blinder of a goal through Clarkson to go win it. Aberdeen were still competitive, they were still compact, they were still tenacious in their play. Yesterday showed all aspects of their game. The fact that they were diligent defensively, the fact that they had an organisation about their play, the fact that they got into forward areas, the fact that they scored goals, the fact they got a few penalties, the fact they were able to expose defenders. They had everything about their play yesterday, and it was an impressive show by Jim Goodwood's side.
Yeah, the fifth goal was scored by 18-year-old Ryan Duncan. Now, it was clearly a cross, but they all count. What a moment for the young man. What a moment for him.
Brilliant. He's one of the ex-products that's going to come out the Youth Academy at Aberdeen. They've done very well within the Youth Academy at Aberdeen. They've taken some big players. Calvin Ramsey, Jack McKenzie, although the latter's obviously injured just now. Ryan Duncan will be the next one on the doorstep that's knocking on the door at Aberdeen. He's just been a very good player today for Jim Goodwood's side. And there was a lot of talk about Ryan Duncan potential going out on loan. He went out and wanted to Peterhead last season. And it didn't start the way Aberdeen or Ryan Duncan wanted it to, because he went out to loan Peterhead but picked up an injury after, I think, an Aberdeen training session. And then, obviously, he was out for 6 weeks, but then once he got in the door at Peterhead and once he got game time at the Blue Toon, he was starting consistently. He was playing fantastic football. And Peterhead are lacking something, or had something then that they don't have now. And that was creativity, tenacity, because they had Josh Mulgan, they had Will Cameron as well, who are both now at Dundee, doing very well at Dens Park. And Ryan Duncan is a player that's going to go from strength to strength. I think if he does go out on loan, I think it'll depend on a player coming in, because I can't see Jim Goodwood just put players out on loan unnecessarily. And yeah, when you look at it, it's just a brilliant moment for Ryan Duncan, and something he'll cherish for the rest of his career. And he has to move on from this now. He's got to build on it and make sure that he's highly competitive moving forward. And Graham, I'm going to let you speak to yourself for just a few minutes, because it's absolutely roasting here, and I need to take off my warm trousers. So it's okay. I'll switch off my camera for 2 minutes.
No worries, mate. So Craig2702 says, how well do you think Hearts will do in the Conference League this year? Well, as a Jambo, I'm going to take this one so I can talk about this. I think personally, Hearts have got a good chance to get through this group. I think Fiorentina will be the difficult game. But I think we've got to be looking to take 6 points off RFS from Latvia. We've got to be looking to beat them home and away. I think the first game against Istanbul Başakşehir, they have a decent team there. I think, for me, Mesut Ozil is a very good player. It's a difficult game, but I think at home it's a game that Hearts have got to be looking to win. I think if we can win that, get off to a good start, there's every chance the top two go through. I think Hearts could get through, and I'm not just saying this to be biased. I genuinely think Hearts could get through this. I think if Fiorentina games are going to be tough, but we've got to be taking 6 points off RFS. If we can do that, we give ourselves a chance. I think for me, we have to strengthen again. We've got the midfielder from Germany coming in. I think we're still lacking another striker. I'm a massive fan of Lauren Shank, and I said that when he signed. I also really like Liam Boyce. A lot of Hearts fans don't like him, but I think we need a bit more in that forward area. And we need another centre-back. I'm not a massive fan of Toby Civic. I've said that numerous times in the show. I think he makes far too many mistakes for my liking. So I think another defender would be great. We're going to get Craig Halkett back, who's a massive miss. Stephen Kingsley's not playing today. But I think Hearts have got a good chance. I really do believe that. Now, I think I'd like to get the Europa League, but then again, looking at Europa League, we'd have got Arsenal and PSV. I think we'd have got hammered in that league, I'm not going to lie. The thought of Toby Civic playing against Gabriel Jesus gives me nightmares. I think the Conference League is probably about our standard, I think. So I think that's a really good league for us to be in. And yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. I think we've got a really good chance to get through in this group. But we need signings. That's the massive thing. We have got to get signings in. So I'm I'm excited. I think the games are going to be great. I think we're going to be on BT Sport, I think, because I don't think BBC will show these games. So yeah, I think we're going to get through. I really do believe that. James Elliott, one of our friends, says, hi, Graham and Dave. Got you on the big screen TV. I'll have nightmares now. What? We're a good-looking bunch of guys, are we not? I did say you should get on this, James, but you didn't come on. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Hearts are going to do this season. But signings for me are a massive, massive must. Again, Craig 272 definitely lol. We'd be Dundee United today against those teams. I can't disagree. Listen, I'd love to see us playing at the Emirates. I'd love to see us at Tynecastle. But as I say, just the thought of Toby Civic against Gabriel Jesus, I'm sorry, I'd have had nightmares about that. So I am very excited. I think we'll do really well. But getting on to the next games on my list, I've got Kilmarnock against Motherwell. So Kilmarnock beat Dundee United. Kilmarnock beat Motherwell 2-1 yesterday. Now, I watched a little bit of the game. I thought Kilmarnock were excellent. I really do. They were unfortunate to be behind Kevin Van Veen on the 14th minute, who for me is Motherwell's best player. But Kilmarnock came back through Daniel Armstrong and Ash Taylor. And watching the highlights, I thought Kilmarnock were outstanding. You know, I've spoken about them numerous times already this season, and I didn't know if they had enough to stay up. Watching that game yesterday, if they can play like that, and especially on that horrendous plastic pitch, I'm sorry to any Killer fans watching, they have a chance. I'm going to get back on that game in a second, but Dave, I'm going to ask you the question here because I've just talked for 2 minutes here. I think I've done well there. I want to get your thoughts on Craig 272's point here. He says, how well do you think Hearts would do in the Conference League this year?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Craig. I think Hearts will do well. I've touched upon it in Friday's show. I think Hearts will get 6 points out of 6 against RFS because they are not as good side. They struggled to get past Winfield, and Winfield will have a better opportunity to progress. So, in terms of RFS, I think it's 6 points out of 6. But I think Hearts need to be professional in those games and get the job done. And if they can do that, then it's a positive one as far as Hearts fans are concerned, because they'll strive for excellence in those games. And they'll strive for a good European tournament this year. It is the Conference League, and that's the wish version of the Europa League, I'm afraid. But at the same time as well, it's an opportunity for Hearts to go and express their own authority in the European group stages this year. And I think it's an opportunity as well for Hearts to look at this and say that if they can go and do well, then it's a good route in to potentially get a far higher caliber side, because that's the beauty of European football and the luxury of European football. If things don't go to the plan or the Europa League point of view, and you have a strong Europa Conference League, it gives you that authority to progress through into the latter stages of the Europa Conference League, and you can be playing the likes of, I'll give you some names, Man U and all these types of teams. So it does offer a lot. I think the first game for Hearts against Istanbul Başakşehir is a big one for Hearts, because it gives the Hearts a good indication of how they're going to go in the European football this year, especially with that game being at Tynecastle, because the atmosphere will be electric, and it'll be a good one for Hearts to see where they're at, because they were okay in Zurich. They needed a good bit of goalkeeper from Craig Gordon to make sure they were still in the game. And then when you look at it, played very, very well 55, 60 minutes on Thursday in Zurich, and then just ran out of steam, unfortunately. And for Hearts to be competitive and consistent, they need to be on it all the time. And Istanbul give us a good indication as to how Hearts are going to get on in this European campaign. Then they go to Riga on the 15th of September, which, again, as I'm saying, will be a good opportunity for Hearts to get some points on the board. And then, for me, the big games are the back-to-backs. Fiorentina back-to-back, Heart at Tynecastle on the 6th of October. Then they go to Italy on the 13th. And I think if Hearts can get something out of Fiorentina in the first game, I think that gives Hearts a level of confidence, a good level of confidence. Now, Florence are a good holiday destination for fellow Jambos this year, but I think that 6th of October is the one game that I would circle and say that's going to be massive as far as Hearts are concerned, to give everybody a good indication against a team that arguably will be a Serie A title contender this year. Rigas falls on the 27th of October, which, depending on how things go, could turn out to be a massive game for Hearts. Then 3rd of November, away to Istanbul, which we won't know the full assignment until that November date. It could be massive for Hearts. So in terms of Hearts, I think they've got a terrific opportunity here. And I think the world's the oyster. I think the opportunities are endless. And I think Hearts are using their squad expressively, I think, as well. We touched upon it when we came live on Airgame. Shanklin and Barry Mackay played for Hearts this afternoon. And I can understand to an extent why Robbie hasn't done it now. He's obviously looking to give the likes of Boyce and everybody like that some game time. I mean, if Hearts aren't playing excellently or spectacularly, but we'll go and win a 2-1, a dogged 2-1 against St Johnstone, or Russian grab 1-0 against Aberdeen, just to give you a prime example, despite playing our second string side, which appears to be the case today to an extent. I don't think any Hearts fans will begrudge that whatsoever. And I think Robbie's got it right to an extent, but the proof will be in the pudding come nearly Christmas time, when we'll see how Hearts get on in the Conference League, and we'll see how they get on in league terms as well.
If I'm right, and I think I did see this, I think Hearts get about 2.8 million for that Conference League. I mean, that for a team like Hearts is an incredible amount of money.
Yeah, well, we've spoken plenty of times, Graham, about the financial differences between the Glasgow clubs and the rest of the league, and the fact that the Glasgow clubs far outweigh and are far superior in terms of everything that comes financially, but also resources, exposure, stature. They outweigh the rest of the Scottish football when it comes to everything, and they're just very, very good at in that part. Sorry. And I just think that they offer a lot more, but which is it's entirely understandable considering the level of Scottish football at this precise moment in time. For Hearts to receive 2.8 million is a pretty good sign of where they're looking to go. Hearts and Joe Savage have made no secret of the fact that they want to be challenging Celtic and Rangers for the title. Some people in Scottish football are claiming it is ludicrous, ridiculous, atrocious. Not for me. I love that ambition. It's an ambition that doesn't get used much in Scottish football. It's an attribute that needs to be used more. It's a strong asset to have. Yes, it does allow a lot more pressure on managers, i.e. Robbie Neilson, in this specific part. But if Hearts fans would sacrifice a Robbie Neilson side that isn't spectacular, isn't exciting, isn't brilliant, but still will go and share out games 1-0, show a great level of resilience and get wins, no Hearts fans begrudging that whatsoever. And the financial package that will come Hearts' way will have a big, big part to play in that. And that probably helps Hearts get, 5 top players in, the 5 players of transfer value, transfer fees. And when I speak about 2.8 million, do your maths here, you're speaking 5 times 500,000 transfer fees for players, which is massive in Scottish football.
100%. We'll get on to the European games shortly. We are now an hour and 50 minutes into the show. It's been a busy one. Keep all your comments coming. It's always great to see these comments coming in. And it's great, obviously, to have James Elliott joining us on YouTube. And Dave, I don't know if you saw this earlier, but James put, "Hi, Graham and Dave. Got you on the big screen TV. I'll have nightmares now." I don't know what he's talking about. We're 2 handsome-looking men, are we not?
Yeah, good to see the YouTube's working, James, but it's not Halloween yet, mate.
So let's look at the final 2 games for the weekend before we get back to European games. And I was touching on it before you came back there. Kilmarnock 2, Motherwell 1. Kilmarnock's first win of the season. And watching the game on the TV yesterday, Kilmarnock thoroughly deserved that victory. It's a great win for Derek McInnes's men.
I think they're showing the Premiership class now. I mean, they've had an inconsistent start to the season, and it's been well documented in the media. And it's been a troubling time for Kilmarnock, especially with the fact that Kilmarnock have struggled to gain a result here and there. But I think that was a marker for Kilmarnock yesterday, just in the aspect they've beaten a side that are in form. They've beaten a side that, let's be honest, it wasn't a game in which it was one side won confidence against another side that have got a predicament in their stride. This was a side that have been inconsistent against a side that have been full throttle since the manager has took over at Fir Park. And Kilmarnock were excellent in every department possible. I mean, I don't think a lot of people should read the opening 5 games for Kilmarnock. Yes, there's been a few defeats in which would have been hard to take, especially if you're a Killie fan. The Dundee United draw, you look at it and say reasonable enough draw now, because you look at that Dundee United draw, and I think Kilmarnock was still transitioning because they still had a lot of players to come in. The Celtic defeat, they're not going to be defining against Celtic. It was poor, disappointing, but again, I don't think anybody was going to bat an eyelid about it, or certainly not Kilmarnock colours anyway. They obviously played Ross County, which again was another disappointing outcome, but it was a late winner for the Sagies to go win the game. And yesterday they showed the side that they're capable of being, and I think it shows. How good they are. But I mean, it was a strong performance. They had to do it the hard way, coming from behind. I think that's a good thing for them, because it shows how they can show resilience. It shows how they can show character. It shows how they can show ability. It shows the togetherness they have within the team. And people have been going, to me, people have been going on social media and saying, Kyle Lafferty is finished. Kyle Lafferty is that, which I do agree with. At the same time as well, though, this Kilmarnock side should not be a nucleus based on Kyle Lafferty. This Kilmarnock team should be a nucleus based on the team as a whole. And for me, Kilmarnock need to be building around players like Kerr McInroy, like Ash Taylor, like Wayne Polworth. Wayne Polworth's relishing Rugby Park right now. He's enjoying his football there. He was in a bit of a disarray at Motherwell by all accounts. He came out to Kilmarnock, made it his own. He's a Derek McInnes type of player, and he's shown that. Also, Ben Cruciani on loan from Aston Villa. Impressive debut from him yesterday.
It's a very entertaining game at Tynecastle, but it is Hearts 2, St Johnstone 2, and the Considine has equalised after 54 minutes, so it's all to play for at Tynecastle. And I did have my concerns that Hearts might end up throwing this away, to be honest, because of the team that is selected. But there's a long way to go. It's 2-2 at Tynecastle after 54 minutes. Craig 2702 again comes back in. What's your opinion on the referee on Thursday? Although we had countless opportunities to score, the ref was all over Hearts and barely giving us the same fouls he gave to Zurich. I'll be honest, Craig, I thought the referee was very inconsistent. To be honest, I thought the first booking for George Grant was very harsh, but he got the penalty call right. I thought it was a poor decision for George Grant when he was on a yellow card. It was the right call. But I thought all game he was very inconsistent. He was given decisions for Hearts players that he wasn't given for Zurich players. I thought he was very, very poor. But to be fair, I think Hearts in that first half had chances to win that game. Liam Boyce could have had a hat-trick. I thought decision-making in the final third was poor, but I did think the referee was very inconsistent. And as I say, that George Grant decision, if he stays on the park, I think there's every chance we win that game, but unfortunately we didn't. So, but looking at Kilmarnock Motherwell, Kevin Van Veen again, Motherwell's best play by far, puts Motherwell ahead, and you think at that point Motherwell go win the game. But to be fair to Derek McInnes, Daniel Armstrong and Ash Taylor score the goals. But that second goal from Ash Taylor, if you're Stevie Hamill, and he did say it last night, the defending for those goals is very, very poor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Motherwell are renowned on organisation, but as an article in the Sunday Mail suggests today, I think Motherwell need a bit more forward thinking now. Stevie Hamill's hoping to snap over a couple of attackers before the transfer window shuts to lighten the load in Kevin Van Veen. I think there's a heavy reliance in Van Veen, and defensively they were all over the shop yesterday, and Kilmarnock offered a different level of intent, which I think had to be acknowledged, and I think they showed a different side to the game to go and get the result, and that was a good one. But Motherwell were left cursing missed chances, and Kilmarnock got the result. And that was a typical Derek McInnes performance, I thought, yesterday. A performance in which, when the going got tough, there was still a belief, there was still a togetherness, and that helped in terms of getting the result. And Howell, as I said, wants to bring in players, and he says, we're bringing a couple at least in the last few days. I think we need that, especially at the top end of the pitch. We had every attacking player on the pitch that we had, and we still need to add a little bit more, which is understandable because every manager's adding, is looking at players with a pinch of salt and looking and saying we need to add quality. players need to be brought in, but they need to be better than what they've got, and see after that. Palace thinks there needs to be a little bit more clinical and cleaner in the final third. But that's been the story of Motherwell's calendar year. It's been the story of the calendar year where they've been playing impressive football, they've been playing on the front foot, they've been playing with an open eye, they've been playing with a creativity and imagination, but they've had nobody to tuck the ball away at the back of the net. And a lot of the goals have came from long-range strikes or relying on deflections or various things like that. There's been nothing in which it's been 10 passes or 8 passes or 5 passes and then into the net. So there is a way in which Motherwell will want to play moving forward, especially under Hamill, because Hamill will have a different way of playing to Alexander, and that's for sure. But if you look at the goals that conceded, Hamill was still unhappy because he says, if you compare the goals and chances we gave up, it's disappointing. The second goal is nowhere near good enough. We shouldn't be conceding a goal at that this level. The boys understand that. We're going to lose games, we know that. The manner that we lost that is hugely disappointing. We always take one game at a time. It's a big week for us. We will need to see a reaction. And I think I do agree with Hamill when he says the reaction, because of Cali on Wednesday. Cali's side have been hot and cold. Haven't been blistering in the Championship at all, Billy Dodds's Cali. And I think Motherwell need a confidence boosting result to help them back to league duty next weekend.
Before we go on to Kilmarnock, do you think that's a bit of a reality check now for Stevie Hamill? He's had a really good run so far as permanent manager, but now they've lost that game. It's poor defending. Do you think that's a bit of a reality check for Hamill now?
I think it is, because he has started this tenure at Fir Park very, very well. And Motherwell had been impressive. They had been gaining a lot of deserved opponents among the football community, especially Scottish football. But you can always tell that there was a reality check, or it was always going to be a bad day in the office on the horizon. And that's exactly how it proved to be yesterday at Kilmarnock. But it was a tremendous Killie fight back, but for Motherwell, it was incredibly frustrating. And I don't think Stevie Hamill should be defined in results such as yesterday, because he started life at Fir Park impressively, and yesterday was a massive blip. And I think Motherwell getting top 6 football would be a huge spring in the cap for Stephen Hamill. And he's also had a really, really good start. But results such as yesterday was always going to happen, especially because Motherwell, they've kept that a reasonable enough nucleus for a good few years now. And I can't see that manoeuvring anytime soon under Stephen Hamill. So, in terms of that, there's still improvements to make, but at the same time as well, they're going to the right place as well.
Yeah, I mean, Kilmarnock were excellent yesterday. Thoroughly deserved to win the game. I thought they had plenty of chances, but the only downside I would say for Kilmarnock again is maybe the form of Kyle Lafferty. He still can't score. He had a couple of really good chances yesterday and kind of flashed them over the bar. Is that a slight concern for McInnes?
I'm a mate. Yes, I think it is. I mean, Lafferty hasn't hit the ground running. And I made the point that I think always show there's a big responsibility on him. And I think there's a big responsibility and always show primarily for the reason that Lafferty hasn't hit the ground running yet in the Kilmarnock shirt in the Premiership. But Lafferty has played in the Championship before. We all know about the levels between the Premiership and the Championship. It's a completely different level altogether. In the Premiership, you don't really get sniffles. In the Championship, there's a little bit more freeway, as we're seeing with some of the scorelines that are coming in both the respective leagues. Pardon me. And that was a confidence boosting result that for Kilmarnock, because obviously they're now going to 10th, and that's pretty good going. And look at the lineup from yesterday. They play Lafferty and Shaw up front. And I like the way Dick McKiss is going about, because they obviously play an old-fashioned 4-4. So that's obviously a good sign as far as McKinnon's work is concerned. But I mean, obviously Paul Power in the midfield, and I like that actually, because it offers something different and dynamic for Kelly. It's not just two players with similar ability and similar way of play. They've got two different midfielders, so it's quite good in that point. McInroy, a forward-thinking player, and very, very good in his own right. And then, when you look at the goal scored just today, Ash Taylor scored, and that's the concerning point. Ash Taylor scored both of Kilmarnock's goals at home. But then Daniel Armstrong scores as well. And I think Daniel Armstrong's going to be a big player for McInnes this year. But one thing about Kilmarnock as well is they'll show that they've got a never say die attitude about them. And that's the thing that separates Kilmarnock from the rest. Because sides are usually renowned for not exactly starting games impressively, relying on maybe a quick reaction or a major spark at the end of the game in order to come out on top. And that's exactly how it proved to be again yesterday. It's another good 3 points for that because decided they'll be going to move on and build on that now.
62 minutes gone at Tynecastle. It's still Hearts 2, St Johnstone 2, but yet another injury for Hearts. Nathaniel Atkinson has gone off to be replaced by Connor Smith. It's just getting ridiculous now. This squad needs ridiculously more strengthened. Still 2-2. Let's go to the last game of the weekend. St Mirren 1, Hibernian 0. Keanu Bakus scoring after 6 minutes. It's 3 wins on the bounce for Stephen Robinson, 3 clean sheets on the bounce for Stephen Robinson, and again, another thoroughly deserved victory for them. You're on mute, Dave.
There we go. St Mirren have very much been the bookie bashers this season so far. I mean, the writing was on the wall for many people in Scottish football before a ball was kicked in league terms, because a lot of people looked at the Premier Sports Cup campaign and went frustrated, disappointed, abysmal. St Mirren aren't going to achieve much. But then it's different. It's mental what a pre-season campaign and how a couple of disappointing results can change so much instantly. It's funny how a lot of training ground stuff can be done in a short space of time in order to go and rectify things. Now, you're not going to get everything done on the training ground in order to make you a fantastic team. Not even like some Man City, Liverpool, Real Madrid do that. But at the same time as well, it was terrific for St Mirren to get that win. And, I mean, Hibs, Wade Johnson spoke to, I think it was the club TV after the game, and he was speaking about the game, obviously. I think one of the St Mirren fans said, "That was brutal, Johnson." It was brutal. Johnson was thoroughly acknowledging that. So that just goes to show you how abysmal a showing, how St Mirren were erratic yesterday. How Hibs were erratic, sorry, I should say. Pardon me.
I did have to laugh at that comment that the guy made. It's like, Johnson, your team's brutal. And he went, "You're not wrong, mate." I mean, it was quite funny. But in terms of St Mirren, I mean, Stephen Robinson, he took a lot of stick at the start of the season. A really poor Premier Sports Cup campaign. They obviously got beat 4-1 by Aberdeen. But after that, they've been absolutely flawless. And again, yesterday, I thought they played some decent stuff.
Yeah. The Aberdeen one was disappointing, but when you look at the fact that obviously they've been shipped 5 against them, when you look at the fact that Aberdeen have been relentless at Pittodrie, it's maybe not the worst result or the worst outcome as far as the Bunnies were concerned. And obviously, the Declan Gallagher sent off in that day in question, which didn't help their defensive structure, and they lost their identity after that. But they've bounced back in the best manner possible. Even with Declan Gallagher coming back in, they've still went to Tardis, which is notoriously a tough place to go, and still been competitive, still been in the front foot, and still been absolutely fantastic. And I actually predicted a draw yesterday. I didn't think Hibs stood a chance of winning yesterday. I had a feeling they were going to be competitive, Hibs, but I didn't think they'd go to St Mirren and win the game comfortably. I predicted a draw, but obviously it's St Mirren win. And it's another precious 3 points as far as Robinson's concerned. And, I mean, there will be the talk that Robinson maybe needs an extra 2 or 3 players, but I think he's got an understanding now that the players want to go and work with him and help him. And Robinson's a workaholic. And St Mirren is a squad littered with workaholics. And it helps in the modern game, just in terms of the way the modern game is played, the philosophies that are attached to the modern game, and the way the modern game is structured. I think the fact that Robinson has some old school players upon his stride is a good thing to cherish. And I think it's a good asset for St Mirren to have as well.
Let's look at Hibernian. Did Ryan Porteous look happy yesterday? I don't think so. So Hibs have not won since the opening game of the season against St Johnstone. Now, James Elliott asked the question here, where do you think Hibs will finish this season? I'm going to let you take this, Dave, because I might be accused of being biased.
Where do you both think Hibs will end up this season? Good question, James. It's hard to tell. It's hard to gauge at this precise moment in time because Hibs have been very hot and cold. A 9-man Rangers was still not enough because Hibs forced a draw in that game for a fantastic effort from Campbell to rescue the game. But had that not materialised into anything, it would have been a travesty for Lee Johnson's side. Hearts, the Martin Boyle show, no other way to put it. They started the season reasonably enough well, and a disappointing one yesterday. I'm still not 100% convinced they'll be top 6 this season, but then when I'm saying top 6, I'm kind of comparing it with Dundee United to an extent. So I don't know. I think if Hibs can maintain a good level of consistency, they'll be top 6. It's how they get on in the head-to-heads that'll be the big factor into how this is going to progress for Lee Johnson's side this season.
I hope they enjoy their trip down for next season when they get relegated. I think it's a difficult one. I think it is still very early in the season. I do think they will get better. I think Martin Boyle isn't quite up to speed yet. I think they probably will get top 6, but they've got to improve dramatically. And again, I keep on saying this, and I will get stick for this, but I will say it anyway. I think Ryan Porteous is one of the most overrated players in the league, and I thought yesterday he was absolutely awful. But I do think Hibs will be okay. But again, you listen to Lee Johnson yesterday saying that his team were very poor, and he's got a lot of work to do.
I think Johnson's acknowledged that immediately as soon as he took over at Easter Road. I think Moira Gordon, the Scotsman, did a really good article with Johnson just about how his management structure and his management philosophy. And I mean, Johnson is a manager that speaks a good game. He doesn't have the best track record in football. I mean, his track record in England leaves a lot to be desired. And I think there needs to be a lot of improvement in that regard. But at the same time as well, I think we're seeing just how it can be a different landscape altogether. Just how Hibs can be competitive, how they can be, how it can evolve in a short space of time. And I think Hibs have a lot of opportunities to reach the top 6 at the same time as well. Their inconsistent run isn't doing them any favours whatsoever.
What I will say is that miss by Eli Yuan is an absolutely shocking miss. I don't know how he doesn't score that.
Horrendous, yeah. Really good chance, and it's cost Hibs the game now when you look at the game in overall context. Because I mean, when you look at that chance, they gave Hibs a valuable point. Never against a very resolute St backline, and that's a chance missed. And Hibs go back to Edinburgh sulking. And that's the disappointing thing as far as Lee Johnson's concerned.
I mean, we've spoken about this before, but just how big a miss has Kevin Nisbet been, because they look so short of options up front.
Yeah, Martin Boyle was a huge miss when he was obviously involved in a Hibs jersey. That had a pivotal effect how Hibs ended the season, because we're seeing how they lacked a lot of creativity and imagination in the final third. I'd argue that Nesbitt's a bigger miss because of the way Hibs like to play with a purpose, their identity, their ability to play with a style, and they don't do that at the moment. And I think a big part of that is primarily because they don't have Kevin Nisbet. And it's an extremely frustrating one, that's for sure. And I mean, it's something to rectify moving forward. But I agree with what James is saying here about Porteous as well. He's doing a lot of things that you would sense where 1990s. 1990s was a good age bracket in terms of the way players played the game, the way the structure was performed within football. At the same time as well, I think the game's moved on, and you unfortunately can't have a 1990s style of football in the 21st century, or indeed now, because you've got VAR coming in, you've got much more strenuous referees that'll make things not stringent, and you'll find that things will become a lot more frustrating and complicated for the fans and the terraces, for the managers on the side, and also for your fellow teammates. So for Ryan Porteous, it's good that he's getting offers from England because it shows that he's on the market. It shows that he's at a certain level in his football career. But at the same time as well, he can't allow us to deteriorate his own career by playing the bad boy theme, which Scottish football sense isn't a bad thing whatsoever. But it's the way he conducts himself is what people look at and say, oh, God, no thanks.
So we've touched on the Premier League games. We've got maybe about 10 minutes left in the Hearts St Johnstone game. It's still 2-2. Let's spend the last 20 minutes just talking about the fixtures that came out for the Champions League and Europa League, or Conference League, I should say. So if we look at Celtic first, Celtic start their campaign against Real Madrid on the 6th of September. They then play Shakhtar on the 14th away. They've got a double header against Leipzig on the 5th and 11th. I was going to say my birthday, but it's not. Then they play Shakhtar on the 25th of October, and the last game they are away to Real Madrid. I mean, I call you James there. I've got James in the heat now. Looking at that starting fixture for Celtic, Real Madrid at home, what a massive, massive game that's going to be for Celtic.
I think it's the best opening game that Celtic could easily strive for. I mean, the fact that they've got a side such as Real Madrid at home is a very, very good thing indeed. And had they got a Shakhtar at home or a Leipzig at home, it would still been an impressive one to get to. It would still been a one where Celtic would be looking to serve themselves with distinction. But having Real Madrid, it's going to be a fantastic experience for everybody that's at the game. I mean, we've seen Celtic give Dundee United 9 today, which feels like an eternity to 10 hours, considering we've been on the show for an hour and 40 minutes. But at the same time as well, you look at Real Madrid, and that's going to be a completely different ballgame for Ange Postecoglou's side. And the Celtic fans will have to have a very valiant effort off the park as well, because they'll be looking at that game and excitement levels will be through the roof. And they've got a part to play, Celtic supporters. Most of the Celtic players in the park have a huge part to play as well. My mate Carl McFadden, he's involved in the Celtic TV team. He does a lot more of the disability stuff. And he's going to be doing the Glasgow Derby next Sunday, and then obviously Real Madrid next Wednesday. What a week it's going to be for Celtic. What a week. It's going to be an exciting week for Rangers as well, but what a week for Celtic. Glasgow Derby, which is the biggest game of Scottish football, arguably. I mean that with a tongue-in-cheek terminology there. And then they've got Real Madrid. And Real Madrid won the Champions League last year. And arguably, I'd say alongside Liverpool and City, one of the best sides in European football at this precise moment in time. They're not the Galacticos anymore. That was our early noughties plan. But I've just heard somebody say "Aya" there. I hope it's not my terrible voice, but yeah, Real Madrid are a side that will come to Glasgow, look to promote their own intent in the game, and there's not a better start that Celtic we've been craving for, and it's the atmosphere inside Celtic Park will be electric. But then I'll be interested to see if Celtic can get something out of those games, because I made a point to call what the state of Scottish football on Friday. Real Madrid, despite the fact that they are consistent in European competitions, at the same time as well, Real Madrid will be a side that will go and slip up against teams. They will be a side that will go and play, I'll give you a certain example, Sheriff Tiraspol a couple of years ago. Slip up, and then it paints a bad picture of Real Madrid. It paints a pressure-orientated look on Real Madrid. And it's funny to see how Celtic will go and approach the game. And I think Celtic need to go and take the games to the opposition. Under Brendan Rodgers, there's been a lot of similarities, and that was preceded today in particular, where obviously the Sean was seen in Tayside by Ange Postecoglou's side. There's been a lot of similarities between Ange Postecoglou's current side and Brendan Rodgers' Celtic side. Brendan Rodgers' Celtic side were vastly clear-cut domestically, did everything right, carried out the right procedures, were meticulous on and off the ball, did everything asked of them. They were brilliant. But their Achilles heel, as far as Brendan Rodgers' Celtic were concerned, was the Champions League. And that was the thing that hurt Celtic massively. They played like, say, your PSGs, your Man Cities. They didn't get a good draw against Pep Guardiola's City at one time, I remember. But that was a needless game. City already qualified, and that was a needless game as far as both teams were concerned, because both teams had very, very little to play for. They've played PSG. who you can look at it, they're not the side they are now. They had Neymar and his continuation of diving, which is pitiful, but they didn't have Messi and they didn't have the players that they do now. And they were brutal at them. And for me, that was the one thing that Celtic fans got peeved off about, the fact that Brendan Rodgers wasn't consistent enough in the Champions League. He proposed, promoted, and implemented a Champions League mentality onto the group, but never materialised. And that was a disappointing aspect for Brendan Rodgers. Ange Postecoglou, I think that Real Madrid game gives everybody a real indication. And I'm glad the game was at home, because had the game been at Bernabeu, I think it would have given everybody a completely different outlook on the game. So it's an opportunity for Celtic to go get a good win early doors. So give a good count of themselves early doors, and then see how they get on from there.
You've got to assume Madrid to win the league, win that group. And I know that you've mentioned it as well, that you can't take Shakhtar lightly. I think they'll be a decent side. But Celtic have got that double header against RB Leipzig. Now, I would have got to assume that it'll be between Celtic and RB Leipzig for that second place. Do you think it's important that Celtic can win both those games against Leipzig to give themselves a chance to go through?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Leipzig are a reasonable enough side. They're obviously a side that I'm never going to fare it out against like Bayern and Dortmund, because they don't have the authority, they don't have the financial resources, and they don't have the credentials of Munich and Dortmund respectively.
Sorry, Dave. Can I just interrupt? Sorry to be unprofessional. Hearts, glorious Hearts. Lawrence Shankland has just scored to make it Hearts 3, St Johnstone 2 with 9 minutes to go. I may live to regret that with 9 minutes to go, but Lawrence Shankland scores Hearts 3, St Johnstone 2. On you go, Dave.
Just to elaborate before I go back on to Celtic, I think it's great that both Shankland and Boyce have scored. Shankland was already scoring goals for fun, and that was all fine and well. I think it was a good thing for Boyce's confidence. So it's good for Wayne Boyce that he's back and scoring. So I think that's a good thing from his point of view. But back with the Celtic, and I think Leipzig's a great opportunity. As I alluded to, Leipzig don't have the financial superpower of Dortmund or Bayern Munich. But at the same time, I think it's a terrific opportunity for Celtic as well, because we see with Rangers how Rangers went to Germany and Scotland and, let's be honest, rolled the roost against the German opponents and came out on top and deservedly reached the Europa League final. Now, I'd argue that there's a lot of similarities between Celtic and Rangers at the precise moment in time, just in terms of the way both sides are. There's a lot of positives about both sides. I think the Glasgow Derby Sunday gives us a very good indication as to what both sides are going to be like. And I think the Leipzig game is a good one where Celtic need to look at it and go and say, we need to start winning games. And then I read an article, is it in the Daily Record, maybe? I think it was in the Daily Record. Donetsk have lost 15 players. And for me, I'd be targeting second if I was Ange Postecoglou, and I think they will qualify out the Champions League group this year.
Yes, James Elliott, I am a Jambo. We'll give that away. Just before we touch on Rangers in a second, I just want to ask, a lot of stuff is made about the atmosphere at Celtic Park. You've had numerous players talk about, like Xavi and stuff like Barcelona have talked about the atmosphere at Celtic Park. Just how big could that Celtic crowd be against Real Madrid? Could they have a massive effect on this game?
Yeah, I mean, football fans and football cultures change massively within a short space of time, and that's all fine and well. But I'll vindicate back to a time where Celtic played Barcelona. Sorry, I had a scratchy bit there in my foot there. I'll go back to a moment where Celtic played Barcelona, and Celtic Park erupted that night. I've never seen an atmosphere like it. I was watching it on the telly, and even the cameraman up at the top end of the stand was shaking. Tony Watts scored that goal. Well, let's just say that Tony Watts' career has deteriorated ever since. But still, what a moment for Tony Watt, and what a display from Celtic, beating your Xavis, your Iniestas, your Carlos Puyols, your Victor Valdez's, your Messi's, your the player I've completely forgotten about. But it was a fantastic Barcelona side, and I'd argue that if you can get likes of Jota, Kyogo, Finan, Daisen Maeda, I think he's got a big championship campaign in him. I think it's a good opportunity for him, in particular, to put himself in the Champions League market. then Celtic have a lot of opportunities in order to go progress out the group. And I think they've got a very favourable group compared to what they potentially could have got.
Let's touch on Rangers group. So they start with Ajax away, then they play Napoli at home on the 13th of September. Then they've got the massive double header. And anyone that doesn't know this, I'm a Liverpool fan, so come on, Liverpool. They play Rangers on the 4th of October and the 12th of October they're at Ibrox, Rangers Liverpool. They then play Napoli away, and their final game is Rangers against Ajax. So, Dave, Celtic start at home against Real Madrid. Rangers start away against a very decent Ajax team. What do you reckon their chances are of getting through this group?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think the Liverpool game is a great initiative for Rangers because it gives Rangers fans a good opportunity to. I think it's a money spinner for Glasgow on an economy perspective because obviously Liverpool can go to our land of hopefully independence by the time next year comes around. We're an independent country, so let's hope Liverpool can experience that either in Glasgow or indeed in the Merseyside of Liverpool. So there's that initiative, which I'll put out there. Also, at the same time as well, when you look at Rangers, they are. I think they've got a slightly tougher group compared to Celtic. I think Ajax will be a very, very good side. Ajax are always renowned for playing on the front foot. They play a Johan Cruyff style football. They've got a tremendous philosophy in terms of the way they want the game to be played. They are a team that likes winning games. They are a team that likes playing on the front foot. But at the same token as well, they are a side that are accustomed to playing fantastic, exciting football, and that needs to be acknowledged. Napoli are a very, very exciting Italian side, and Napoli are always very, very good in terms of keeping things congested for opposition sides, but they're also good in terms of seeing games out, showing a good level of resilience, which is a typical Italian way of doing things. So Napoli's going to be an extremely tough game for Rangers as well. And Liverpool, obviously, one of the best European sides we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. Maybe Liverpool haven't started the Premier League campaign the way they've pursued it or wanted it to, but Liverpool are still a fantastic side, and I think that's been shown on basically how they've performed over the last few years. A lot of people are saying Jurgen Klopp's past his lifespan at Liverpool. I disagree massively. I think it's a good opportunity for Jurgen Klopp to go and answer a lot of questions as a Liverpool manager and provide a few tools in order for Liverpool in terms of, because Jurgen Klopp will be the first to admit that this isn't an easy group for him. He's got Ajax, which they will be expected to win, but for Jurgen Klopp's perspective, he'll be looking at saying tough game. Napoli, he'll be looking at that saying tough game. Rangers, he'll be looking at that saying tough game. And I've spoken to Rangers fans, and they've been saying that excluding Liverpool, they think they can qualify out the group, which I can understand why they're saying it like that, but at the same time as well, I do think when you look at the sides on paper, I do think Ajax and Napoli, with all due respect, are far more superior teams to Leipzig and Shakhtar Donetsk. So I think it's a good indication for Rangers as well because it gives us an indication of how far they've grown in a short space of time. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst did a terrific job at Ibrox, predominantly in the European stage, just in terms of the way that things have progressed from there, because they've been absolutely brilliant in terms of beating some class teams like Leipzig and Dortmund and Braga, and obviously beat Red Star Belgrade, which isn't an easy game whatsoever. And maybe they just came up short against Frankfurt in the final. But when you look at the game, Rangers did have their chances, but just lacked that killer touch in front of goal, something which I think they rectified through Kovac this season. And I think Rangers have a bit more of a balance about their play. I think they have a bit more understanding about how they can grow. And I still think there's a lot more to develop about the Rangers side. And for me, I think that's got to be a good thing moving forward because it shows how good they are. I'll be honest with you, I felt Steven Gerrard going to Aston Villa was, and it didn't look like a good move at the time because I wondered how Rangers were going to cooperate and adapt from that. But looking at it now, Van Bronckhorst came to Ibrox with not the best track record in football management terms. Yes, he did reasonable enough with Feyenoord, but China left a lot to be desired as far as Van Bronckhorst was concerned. But he's came into Ibrox, and boy, has he made an instant impact and has made a difference in a short space of time. And for me, that deserves every praise under the sun.
I mean, you look at that group. Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt it's a difficult group. Liverpool have played Napoli a few times and they've always given us a hard game. But, I mean, Battle of Britain, they are obviously massive, massive games. 2003, Celtic played Liverpool in UEFA Cup and obviously Celtic knocked them out. They are just magnificent games to look forward to. You know, obviously, Rangers go to Anfield on the 4th of October and then they play the second leg or the second game on the 12th. Those are games not just from a Rangers fan's point of view, but from a Scottish football fan's point of view, those are great games to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be great for Rangers fans in terms of going across to Liverpool. I'm going to check my Google Maps, but I'm pretty sure if we check the Google Maps, it'll be about 3 hours between Glasgow. When I mean Glasgow, I mean Glasgow Central Station to probably Liverpool Echo Station. It wouldn't be too long. And when you look at it, I mean, it's a terrific opportunity for Rangers to have not just the allocation that they'll be given. They'll have a good range of 10,000 fans, and in Liverpool, it'll be. No, I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of Beatles getting sung in Liverpool. And obviously, they had a wee bit of a go at the Sun newspaper as well, because that's obviously banned in Liverpool at this precise moment in time. So, we're just to see if the Scottish journalists from the Sun get across to Liverpool actually for that game, considering no Sun allowed in the Liverpool area, and there's no Sun newspapers allowed in Liverpool. So that's going to be an interesting concept to say the least. But when you look at this game, it's going to be interesting to say the least. And Liverpool always take a good forward whenever they go, and they'll bring the noise to Glasgow. It's obviously not too far, and it's 3.5-hour journey drive, which is effectively Glasgow to Inverness or Glasgow to Dingwall when you look at it in the Premiership case. And then it's 4 hours on the train. So it's absolutely fantastic. And it's not like it's a Rangers or Celtic against a London team. It's a game in which it's 3 hours away. It'll feel like it's a side going to Dingwall on Premiership duty, because that is arguably how long it takes for an Edinburgh or Glasgow side or Kilmarnock, to give you an example, to travel to somewhere like Ross County. So it's going to be an exciting one for both sides when it comes around in October.
Yeah, definitely. Let's spend the last couple of minutes talking about Hearts. James Elliott says, got to take Bill of the Dug out. Been a great show, guys. Well done. Thank you for joining us, James. It's always a pleasure. So Hearts start their Conference League on the 8th of September against Istanbul Başakşehir. You can tell they're practicing that. They're at home. Then they play FK Rigas. Then the double header against Fiorentina. Then FK Rigas again. And then the final game against Istanbul Başakşehir. I mean, for me, I think I've said already, Hearts have got a great chance of getting through this group. But again, Dave, the standout fixtures for me are those double headers against Fiorentina. They're going to be fantastic games.
Yeah, it's going to be a good initiative for Hearts. It's good to test themselves against a top Italian side who will, as I said, be striving to go win the Serie A this season. Istanbul will be an interesting one, considering they signed Mesut Ozil, so they'll be an interesting one, and they'll be going to show a bit of a statement when they play Hearts, because obviously they'll look at that and try not to be disrespectful by saying that they'll think that Hearts will be a walk in the park, which, from Robbie Nielsen's perspective, he'll look at that and say it's extremely disrespectful. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for Hearts, and I think they need to take the games to the teams. And I think the Istanbul game, as I said, will give us a good indication as to how Hearts will get on this season.
So before we go, just going to ask you the quick question. Will Celtic, Rangers and Hearts all progress from their group stages?
Celtic will. Rangers will finish third, and Hearts will qualify as second.
I'll take that. And I'm going to go, I think Celtic will get second. I think Rangers as well will get third. I do agree. I think Liverpool might win the group, followed by Napoli and then Rangers. And I think, I'm going to pause that. We're going to say Hearts are going to get through. So I think it'll be a great time for Scottish football. We've also got Scotland coming up in the Nations League in September. There is about a minute and a bit to go at Tynecastle, and it's still Hearts 3, St Johnstone 2. I didn't actually realise that Lawrence Shanklin's goals are the penalty spot, so it's 3-2 to Hearts going into the 93rd minute. So hopefully Hearts can hold on and get a win there. It just remains for me to say thank you very much to David for joining me again on a Sunday. I think Michael might be back next Friday because he's sunning himself from Greece. How lucky is he? But if not, we'll be back on Friday at 5 o'clock. We'll also be back on the Sunday show. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for all the comments. It's been great being back, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.